We begin this story from a place of certainty that almost no one in Port Charles shares. We have seen the clues line up too cleanly to ignore. We know what really happened the night Drew was shot, even if the town refuses to look straight at it. Willow pulled the trigger. The evidence exists. The timing makes sense. And the emotional logic is chillingly sound. We know it. Many fans know it. Kai and Trina are already circling the truth, close enough to feel it in their bones, even if they cannot yet prove it. And yet everyone else in town is still blind, distracted by courtroom drama, surface-level sympathy, and a carefully constructed lie that Willow has wrapped around herself like armor. What makes this story so disturbing is not just the crime itself, but how perfectly it is unfolding afterward. Willow is not panicking. She is not reckless. She is methodical. Every move she makes feels planned 2 steps ahead, and every mistake made by others only strengthens her position. Worse, the person now standing closest to the edge of destruction is not the shooter, but Michael, the man who has already lost almost everything. From the outside, it looks absurd. Why would Michael shoot Drew? What would he gain? And yet, in the logic of the legal system and public perception, motive is often manufactured after suspicion takes root. Michael was nearby. Michael has a complicated history with Drew. Michael survivait dans l'explosion, returned to town wounded and angry, and reclaimed his children. That alone is enough to turn whispers into accusations when the wrong person starts nudging the narrative in that direction. We believe the plan is already in motion. First comes the quiet dismantling of Michael's alibi, not in a dramatic reveal, but through subtle erosion. A timestamp that no longer aligns. A witness who suddenly remembers something differently. A detail that once seemed irrelevant, now framed as suspicious. Each small shift chips away at Michael's credibility until the story people tell themselves changes. He goes from grieving ex-husband and devoted father to volatile man with unresolved rage. That is how framing works best. It does not invent facts. It rearranges them. At the same time, Willow's own freedom becomes essential to this plan. If Willow walks free, if she is cleared and publicly declared a victim of circumstance, then Michael's situation worsens exponentially. The contrast matters. The innocent mother versus the unstable man. The woman everyone wants to protect versus the man everyone feels conflicted about trusting. This is not accidental. It is narrative warfare. What makes it even darker is our belief that Drew himself does not know the truth. Drew believes his wife is innocent. Drew believes the woman he married is being persecuted by bad luck and misunderstandings. He does not see that the bullet that nearly ended his life came from the same hands that now touch him with concern and fear. That ignorance is not just tragic. It is useful. As long as Drew believes in Willow, he unknowingly becomes part of the shield protecting her. Alexis, as Willow's defense attorney, also believes in her client. That belief is sincere. Alexis sees what she wants to see, a frightened woman, overwhelmed by forces beyond her control, insisting she has been framed. Alexis has defended many guilty people in her career, but this time she is convinced she is defending an innocent one. That conviction sharpens her performance in court and makes Willow's act even more effective. The lawyer's faith becomes another layer of credibility. Even Chase, a police officer trained to be skeptical, trusts Willow. That alone tells us how convincing the performance is. Willow presents herself as vulnerable but not weak, scared but composed, confused but earnest. She knows when to cry and when to steady her voice. She knows how to make people feel protective rather than suspicious. Some people in this town lead with emotion instead of logic, and Willow understands that better than anyone. Meanwhile, crucial evidence has quietly vanished from the conversation. The traffic camera footage connected to Willow was deleted, and no one is asking who did it or why anymore. That should be the center of the investigation. Instead, it has become a footnote, brushed aside as a technical issue or an unfortunate coincidence. The town's attention has shifted almost entirely to the courtroom spectacle. Trials have a way of narrowing focus, and Willow is benefiting from that tunnel vision. We find it impossible to believe this is the end of her ambition. Being acquitted is not enough. Survival is not enough. Willow needs control. As long as Michael is free and has custody of the children, he is a threat. Not because he knows the truth yet, but because he represents an alternative future. As long as Michael stands, Willow's carefully rebuilt life remains unstable. That is why we are convinced the next phase will be about ensuring Michael goes to prison. Once suspicion hardens into formal charges, the legal machine will do the rest. Michael already fits too neatly into the frame that is being built around him. He was near Drew's house. He has emotional baggage. He has a history that can be selectively retold to make him look dangerous. All it takes is one planted piece of evidence or one manipulated testimony to tip the balance. And when Michael is incarcerated, the final move becomes inevitable. The fight for custody. With Michael behind bars, Willow can present herself as the only stable parent left. She will argue that the children need continuity, safety, and a mother who has been wronged but endured. Drew's support will strengthen that argument, even if unknowingly. The courts tend to favor appearances of stability, and Willow is constructing exactly that image. What does Michael get out of all this? Nothing. That is the cruel irony at the heart of this story. Michael has already paid more than anyone else. He lost his marriage. He was severely burned in an explosion that nearly killed him. He disappeared, fought his way back to life, and returned to reclaim his role as a father. For a brief moment, it seemed like resilience had been rewarded. He had his children. He had survived. He had endured. And now all of it is being stripped away again. Michael's presence near Drew's house on the night of the shooting is being twisted into proof of guilt rather than coincidence. His past conflicts are being reframed as motive. His silence and restraint are being interpreted as evasiveness. The system does not care that he gains nothing from Drew's death. It only cares that the story makes sense enough to move forward. We believe this is what makes the arc so compelling and so infuriating. The truth is not hidden because it is unknowable. It is hidden because it is inconvenient. Too many people have emotionally invested in Willow's innocence. Too many reputations would be damaged if the truth came out now. Too many wrong assumptions would have to be confronted. Kai and Trina are the wild cards. Their suspicion matters because they are not yet compromised by loyalty or professional pride. They are close enough to see inconsistencies others ignore. When they finally connect the dots, it will not be through official channels, but through observation and intuition. Whether they can act on that knowledge before it is too late remains uncertain. As we look ahead, we do not see a clean resolution. We see escalation. We see Willow tightening her grip, Michael sinking deeper into legal trouble, and Drew standing unknowingly between them as both victim and accomplice. We see a town that prides itself on justice slowly realizing it has backed the wrong person, but only after irreversible damage has been done. This story is not just about who pulled the trigger. It is about how easily perception can replace truth, how performance can outweigh evidence, and how the person who appears most fragile can be the most dangerous. If Willow succeeds in sending Michael to prison and taking full custody of the children, the victory will be hollow, built on lies that cannot stay buried forever. And when the truth finally surfaces, as it always does in Port Charles, the fallout will be devastating. Relationships will shatter. Trust will collapse. Drew will have to face the reality that the woman he loved nearly killed him. Alexis will have to confront the fact that her faith was misplaced. Chase will have to reckon with his blind spot. And Michael, if he survives both prison and betrayal, will have to decide whether justice is still worth fighting for. We are watching the calm before that storm. We know where this is heading, even if the town does not yet. And that knowledge makes every scene heavier, every smile more unsettling, and every claim of innocence harder to swallow.